Okay, welcome back for another round of Webmaster questions and answers. We wanted to start with a sort of fun one, talking about rel equals author, which launched recently. And so just to start out, Othar, what is rel equals author exactly?
So rel equals author is actually in the HTML5 spec that any link can have a rel equals author attribute on it. Mm-hmm. And the use is that you're saying that the other end of this link represents the author of the page that the link is coming from.
Okay.
So people should be doing this. In fact, they have been doing this, and Google's just using the standard to get authorship information more broadly.
It's always nice if you can reuse an existing HTML5 standard instead of inventing new markup and stuff
Shows
like
good
that.
design in the HTML5.
Absolutely. So now, webmasters, site owners, they're busy folks. So, I'm sure the first question they're going to ask is, what's in it for me? Like, what do they get if they implement rel equals author? Like, will people get a higher rankings? Is there a rankings boost for rel equal author? Or
Right. So it's obviously early days, right? So we hope to use this information and any information as a ranking signal at Google. So in this case, we want to get information on credibility of authors, from all kinds of sources, and eventually use that in ranking. We're only experimenting with that now. Who knows where it'll go? But right now, what you get if you do the rel equals author markup is that your photo may show up next to your results. Obviously, you want to subject that to some triggering logic as well, but the idea is to show photos next to results. That's our goal as a project.
And I've seen that happen with, like, you can search for something that Gina Trapani wrote, and you can see, her picture there. So okay, this is a little more trustworthy.
Exactly. We started with a field trial, and it was sort of a Johnny author seed model where we went to one author at each site we could find, and we got them to work. Like, we got them and their webmaster and whoever else had to be involved to get their photo to show up. Yeah. And so we've done this for dozens of sites now. Cool. And learned a lot, and hence we're here to explain how to make this simpler for people.
Awesome. Okay, so if people believe it's a good idea, using HTML5 hopefully might, help Google and any other search engine figure out more about content on the web and what's trustworthy and what's less trustworthy over time. So imagine people have bought in, they're convinced.
Okay.
What do they need to do now? Like, what, where do they go? What do they implement?
Right. So let me preface this by saying that they should visit our help center and look for Google authorship there. We'll add a link to the video. Awesome. For the full details and links to WordPress plugins and instructions for Blogger and all kinds of specific details like that. And we'll keep updating that. But let me just describe the general case and the simplest approach we've found in working with different sites.
Awesome. Yeah.
So you have a site, let's say it's example.com, and on that site you have a post, a piece of content, a full page piece of content. For consistency, for both authors and users, we're using Google Profiles basically as a tool for authors to tell us what photo to use on their results, right? And to give them one place to go to give their readers more information about themselves. Okay. So the simplest case is on every post. So let's take a single author blog to start with. Add a link somewhere on the page pointing to your Google profile. And on that link, add an attribute, rel equals author. Right, so this is an A tag with an href pointing to the Google profile, and just add rel equals author on that link. So figure out a way to add this to every page on your site if you're a single author blog, right? Put it in the footer, put it in the header, put it in the right-hand side, wherever you can make it work. That's the simplest case. You can wrap this around an image. We have a nice little image to use to represent the Google profile, or put your own photo or whatever you want there.
And so on my blog, I had just my name. So I turned that into a hyperlink, and then I added rel equals author on that hyperlink. So that was a pretty easy way to do it. Okay.
So that's the simple case.
Whenever you link to a Google profile, is there any way?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Good thing you're here, Matt. So to make sure that I can't start writing nonsense and attributing it to Matt more than I usually do, you have to link back from your Google profile to the site. So let's say this is example.com. So go into the profiles editor, edit your profile, add a link to example.com. And that closes the loop and lets us know that you actually want this incoming author credit.
Okay. So we've seen a few people ask about, well, what's to keep me from pretending to be Barack Obama or pretending to be Gina Trapani? And it sounds like the answer is, you can link to Barack Obama's profile if he joins Google Plus,
Right.
I guess, but he wouldn't link back to your stuff. So it's the bi-directional nature of the links
Exactly.
that sort of authenticate.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So you need to control both endpoints, basically. So that's the single author blog case. So let's talk about multi-author blogs. The first case is, so you have multiple authors on the site. They each write posts. And they have different Google profiles, obviously, right?
That makes sense.
You can tell that I sit at a keyboard by my handwriting. So
Engineering and handwriting, yeah, absolutely.
So from each post, if you can figure out a way on in your CMS to point from that post to that author's Google profile with the same rel equals author attribute. So that could be as simple as just at the bottom of each post have the author actually insert a link themselves, right, with this attribute on it. That's the next simplest case. Another thing that a lot of sites have, let me clean up the diagram a little, is on their site they have author bios, right? So you have a bio for author 1, you have a bio for author 2, and this post already has a link to that bio.
Right.
And the only problem is that link doesn't have rel equals author on it yet.
Okay.
So step 1, add rel equals author on that. If only changing your site was as easy as drawing on a whiteboard.
Yeah. Getting all the CMS, people to make the change can sometimes be tricky, but
Yes.
in fact, we're trying to work with software manufacturers and makers so that individual people maybe don't have to do all the work unless they really want to.
You just have to use a theme, from the blogging software you're using, and it'll all happen for.
And there's plugins for WordPress and similar stuff.
And so from, this is a post by author 1, this is a post by author 2. So this already has a link to his bio. So just add rel equals author on those links. And then step 2 is from those bio pages, add rel equals me links. Rel equals me is something that's been in XFN for a long, long time.
What does XFN stand for? Well, actually, I don't know.
Something friend network.
Yeah,
but, sorry, I don't know.
But basically, rel
That's
equals
how
me.
old that standard is. I
It's
don't know what it means.
really well established. So rel equals me is essentially something to say this bio, this Google profile, or this whatever you point to with rel equals me. It's all the same thing. It's all
They represent
mine.
the same person.
Yeah. Okay.
So do that link, and then, as always, the confirmation link from your Google profile.
Okay.
And that handles the multi-author site
Okay.
pretty well.
So if someone like CNET or the New York Times, if they've got an
Right,
author bio, you can link right to
Right,
that.
and this is exactly the approach that they're taking. So, because
So they've already implemented.
a bunch of those sites, yes, have
Awesome.
done it. So,
Very cool.
so that's it in a nutshell. This obviously requires authors to make profiles, and it requires website webmasters to do the markup. In some cases, those are the same person. That's the easiest case.
Well, and the nice thing is, really, most of the time you have a bio page, or something that you can use as a bio page, or worst case, you can use a Google profile, right? And so a lot of the times it's just making sure there exists a link, and then you add this rel equals author. It's not like a bunch of XML you have to memorize. You don't have to make huge long sitemaps or anything like that. It's more along the lines of just annotating the web so that people can, or search engines, anybody who can see that markup can kind of glom those together and know that that's the same person.
Right. And in fact, not only do a lot of sites already have these bios, but they already are pointing out to their home pages,
Different
their
sites that
Flickr
got-
page, whatever. So
Totally. Okay. So a few people have asked me how hard is it to do, and we wanted to just do a quick video and talk about what's involved, what's the process, and it turns out it's not that hard. So if you're really interested, you can implement it now. We'll also have links in the metadata of this video, so you can do a little bit more reading, read the Help Center documentation. And Othar, thanks very much. Any last stuff you wanted to mention, or?
no, send us feedback.
We're happy to hear about how to make the system better, right?
Absolutely.
And we're excited to think about how we could possibly improve rankings. If you think about it, if you have a scraper versus someone who's really got a lot of credibility, I love the idea of, scraper doesn't rank and the real person.
I was going to mention this earlier, but just having an author photo next to results, I think will have a huge psychological impact on users. That even if they don't click on it, they know that that's an article where they can find the author and interact with them, ask a question, find out more about them. So
it's a little more trusted.
It's going to make the web much more human.
Awesome. Okay, thanks very much.